All right, so I'm doing a study. As you can see, here's the reference, the thing that I'm studying from. I'm just doing the person, no background. Um, I'll try and see if I can explain some of the process. Um, though I do think it's quite straight on what I'm doing. Um, First of all, like I'm trying to be more careful about my approach. So I'll explain what I mean by that a little bit later. But as you can see, I start off with a very light sketch, and I'm just blocking in colors after that. I have this bad habit of trying to put too much effort into this sketch. So like with this, I try to not rely on the sketch too much and just like let it be used as a sense of proportions. Because later on I'll remove the sketch, and I think it's actually quite early on that I'll remove this sketch. Um, so yeah, I just block in colors. And like I mentioned before, I can be a bit careful with this. So at first, I have this scarf on a separate layer, so I can quickly just manipulate the shadows of the coat with the lasso tool and the curves there. Um, Same with the boots, but later on I will merge the scarf and the coat. As you can see, I already like removed the sketch because now I got the overall shape. Like everything kind of reads. You can see there's a hand there, there's the scarf thing, there's a coat, there's a face, there's a hand. Like you could technically stop the painting here, but obviously we wanted to look more like something and not just like something, some cardboard cut out from kindergarten, you get me? Um, but yeah, let me talk a little bit about my layer economy. So you can see on layers, I haven't named them. I will name them later. Don't judge me. Um, I have the base colors, I have the scarf, and I have some lines. Like I have those black lines that I keep on a separate layer. Also, I have the boots on a separate layer because when I paint, um, obviously I don't want everything to affect each other, especially because like I have masked the base layer for the coat and that and the head and so on. Um, and at the start I don't want the scarf to be affected by the coat, so that's why I started off with having them on separate layers, but later I merged them together because when I start painting and rendering more, um, I need to like make the shapes overlap, and I don't want to go back and forth between layers. Um, yeah, and as you can see, like the people who know me know that I love using the lasso tool and I love using curves. And even though it's great for just like quick cell shading and that, it's not something that you can just get super far with. I use it as a way to just kind of quickly establish where I want my shadows. But as you can see there, I take a brush and start like painting on top, because I can be more specific with the softness and the shapes that I want to use. Um, and and like the curves and the lasso tool is fine, but yeah, it really only gets you so far. But it's a nice way to just quickly establish what you want to do, and then later you can go painting on top and that. You can also see I use a little bit of rake tool, which is to give a bit of texture. I also use a little bit of airbrush. I have a shadow layer where I mostly use the airbrush to sort of just give more of like that ambient occlusion type feel. I don't even know if I'm using the right terms, man. Sorry about that. And yeah, now a lot of it's just defining the shapes. Um, I don't put too much effort into stuff. I mostly like when I saw the reference, I was very interested in the code. I thought the code was sick, so I didn't want to spend too much effort into stuff like the hand, the head, the hat, or the boots. It was just the coat and the scarf that really like sold it to me. And as long as the hand reads, I I don't need to put more like work into it. Um, I had a little bit of trouble with the face for a moment, especially the eyes and that. They still turned out a bit wonky. Like there's a few things with this study where I'm like, yeah, this kind of shit, but that's okay. Like I learned a lot on the way just about being more efficient. Like you'll see a few things that I will struggle with. Like there's this pattern with the code that you will see me mess around with later, which I had a very rough time with. Um, But already now it's starting to look like something. I like you can already see that it's a person with a coat and his boots and blah blah blah. Um, and yeah, like I said, like the boots are pretty much only like lasso tool. I think I have a little bit of airbrush in there, but it's so little, and that's because the boots is not the main focus of this thing. They don't need to be over rendered. They don't need all of that. Like they read as they are. But the coat in itself is like the attractive thing, so that's why I'm really trying to take as much effort as I can into like making the coat look sick. I know you see me like mess around with the pattern. I thought I could do it with this, but it didn't look right in my head, and I didn't like how it turned out. So I eventually deleted it. But still, like it's worth messing around like this. You need to test that stuff. You need to see, does this work? If it does, how or why, you know, and if it doesn't, why. Um, so I ended up scratching it because it started to piss me off. I was like shouting at myself like, ah shit, you can't, you dickhead, like, yeah, whatever. Um, I know, yeah, I've merged the scarf and the coat, so when I paint over it, like, um, it will just work as one shape because those two items are so linked together. They're so close together that what I do now does not need to be like on separate layers. The only thing I have on separate layers here now is this line that I'm doing on top of the scarf, as long as some text, and those little like strings on separate layers, because I don't want that to get affected by my painting. And that's sort of like how I keep my layer economy. um you can see I'm also like doing small stuff here and there, just adding a little bit of what we call broken color, which is like just like an area in a shape where there's some hue variation that doesn't really make sense, but it helps create life. um that's at least I think what my teacher said. Don't it's not exact his words, but it's close enough, I think. And yeah, now I'm just adding in the kind of final details that really like sets in what I liked about the image, and I still trying to mess around a little bit with the shadows and that. Um, it's at a point where it's just a little bit of a small tweaking. I uh, I don't. There's nothing like special really that I'm doing. This is stuff that you all can do. I'm just trying to look at the reference and be aware of the shapes and and also like making sure every shape of the coat reads. I need to make sure that the coat reads and nothing ends up being flat in the coat. It all has to work together as one object, which is important. So it's good to. That's why I like the lasso tool, because you really like start thinking in shapes, because you're making shapes when you paint basically. But yeah, it's near the end now. It's just small adjustments. I ended up doing a little bit of stuff afterwards, like adding a yellow scribble to the coat and tilting it because it was leaning a little bit too much to the right. Here you see me apply the pattern again. I don't necessarily like this, but it's better than nothing. I liked it more than the first attempt I did there. So, and I actually do end up doing a little bit of broken color within the pattern, just like masking it and then painting a bunch of colors on top. That looks alright. I don't mind it, but I'll definitely in the future try to like find a better way to apply patterns to clothing. If anyone has any ideas, man, let me know. But yeah, so nearing the end here, and yeah, that's that. Oh yeah, add a little bit of noise, so it's good. Create some texture into the image, and yeah, here you go. Here's the final result. Um, yeah, man. If if you learned anything, I don't know if you learned anything, but yeah, this is pretty much how I do the thing. I'll try and do a environment study soon and record the process as well. Anyways, thank you for watching and have a good fucking life.